Rey Mysterio didn't just speak, he delivered a verdict. And every single person in that locker room went dead silent the moment those words left his mouth. If this is your first time joining us, I encourage you to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to always get updates. Because what Rey Mysterio said to Oba Femi behind those curtains was not a promo. It was not a talking point cooked up by creative. It was a father drawing a line in the blood-soaked sand, and Oba Femi now has to decide whether he's brave enough to step over it. Let's set the scene properly, because a lot of people are rushing past the most important detail here. When Oba Femi destroyed Dominic Mysterio, and destroyed is not an exaggeration, that man dismantled Dominic piece by piece, methodically, almost disgustingly efficient. The reaction backstage was not what you'd expect. There was no celebration from Oba's allies. There was no locker room applause for a dominant performance. Sources deep inside the WWE infrastructure have confirmed that the moment Oba Femi walked through that curtain after that match, the energy shifted. And then Rey Mysterio stepped forward. Now think about who Rey Mysterio is for a second. This is not a man who raises his voice easily. This is a legend who has spent over 3 decades in professional wrestling mastering the art of composure. Rey has been beaten down, betrayed, embarrassed on global television, and through all of it, he maintained that trademark grace. So when Rey Mysterio loses that composure, even slightly, people notice immediately. And according to multiple people present in that backstage corridor, Rey didn't just lose composure. He locked eyes with Oba Femi and delivered something closer to a quiet, ice-cold execution of words that made the air in that hallway feel different. He didn't scream. He didn't point. He didn't make a scene. He simply looked at Oba Femi, this enormous, terrifying, dominant force who has been dismantling everyone in his path. And he said words that nobody in that hallway will forget. The specifics of exactly what was said are still being protected by those who were present, because several of them reportedly didn't want to repeat it out of a strange kind of respect for the gravity of the moment. But what is leaked out, piece by piece, paints a picture of a man who is no longer just a concerned father. Rey Mysterio has transformed into something far more dangerous. He has become a man with nothing left to lose and everything to prove. Here's your first trivia question. Drop your answer in the comments right now. How many times has Rey Mysterio won the WWE Championship throughout his entire career? We'll be watching those comments. Because here's what makes this entire situation so much more layered than it appears on the surface. Oba Femi didn't target Dominic Mysterio randomly. That was a calculated, surgical decision designed to send a message to the entire roster. Oba Femi has been building towards something enormous, and taking out Dominic, someone who carries the Mysterio name, someone connected to one of the most beloved figures in wrestling history, was a declaration. It was Oba announcing that there are no sacred cows. There are no protected names. There are no legacies he respects enough to leave untouched. And that is precisely why Rey's response carries the weight that it does. Because when you come after a man's son, you are no longer dealing with a competitor. You are dealing with a father. And fathers, particularly those who have survived everything Rey Mysterio has survived in this industry, operate on a completely different set of rules. They don't think about win-loss records. They don't calculate risk versus reward. They move with a singular, almost primal focus. And that focus right now is entirely locked on Oba Femi. The locker room felt it. Veterans who have been in WWE for years described the moment as genuinely uncomfortable, not because there was aggression or physicality, but because of the complete absence of it. There is something deeply unsettling about watching a man choose restraint in a moment where every instinct should be pulling him toward explosion. That restraint, that cold, measured delivery from Rey, communicated something that 1,000 screamed threats could never communicate. It communicated that Rey Mysterio has a plan. Second trivia question for the comment section, and this one is going to separate the real fans from the casual viewers. What was the name of the legendary ladder match where Rey Mysterio first captured a world championship opportunity that changed his career trajectory forever? Timestamps and receipts in the comments. Let's see who really knows their history. Now, here's where this story takes a turn that nobody in mainstream wrestling media is talking about. Because it's easy to frame this as a sympathetic father defending his son's honor. That framing is accurate, but incomplete. What the surface-level coverage is missing is the political dimension of what Rey's warning means in the current WWE landscape. Oba Femi is not just a rising star. He is positioned to potentially become one of the most important figures in WWE's next chapter. The company has invested in him. The infrastructure around him is being built deliberately. He is being groomed for something massive, which means that Rey Mysterio stepping forward and issuing this kind of warning is not just personal. It is a power move inside an ecosystem where political capital matters as much as championship gold. Rey has relationships that span decades. He has allies in places that Oba Femi hasn't even thought about yet. And a quiet warning from Rey Mysterio has a way of traveling through this locker room faster and more effectively than any public confrontation ever could. There are names, significant names, who heard about what happened in that corridor and reportedly reached out to Rey directly afterward. Not to offer condolences about Dominic, to ask what the next move was. Because when Rey Mysterio draws a line, people want to know which side of that line they're supposed to stand on. Oba Femi, for his part, has been characteristically silent. And that silence is interesting, because Oba has never been a man who shies away from confrontation. He has walked into every hostile environment on that roster and come out standing. But something about the way Rey Mysterio delivered that warning appears to have landed differently. Whether it's respect, calculation, or something that looks a lot like caution, Oba Femi has not publicly responded. And in the wrestling world, silence from someone this confident is not nothing. Silence is a statement. The question everyone needs to be sitting with right now is this: what happens when these two men eventually have to share the same space with cameras rolling and the stakes fully established? Because this is not going away. Rey Mysterio does not make empty gestures. Every move he makes is intentional. Every word chosen with the precision of a man who has navigated this industry at the highest level for 30 years. When he walked up to Oba Femi in that corridor, it wasn't a reaction. It was the opening move of something much longer and much more serious. Dominic's defeat was the spark. Rey's warning was the gasoline. And somewhere in the weeks ahead, someone is going to strike the match. And when that happens, Backstage Wrestling News will be right here to give you every detail that the cameras don't catch and the official narrative doesn't want you to know. Because that's what we do. We see what they don't show you. And right now, what they are not showing you is a legend who has never been more dangerous in his entire career. Not because of what he said, but because of how quietly he said it. Drop your trivia answers below. Share this video with every wrestling fan you know. And do not go anywhere, because this story is only getting started.